Today, we are diving into something that's incredibly challenging and it reshapes entire families: pediatric obsessive-compulsive disorder. You know, when a child has OCD, it's a struggle for everyone involved. So let's get right into it.
We're going to start with this question right here because it really gets to the absolute core of the conflict parents face. Your instinct, your gut reaction is to protect and to soothe, to take away your child's pain. But with OCD, that very same instinct can actually lead you down a path that makes everything so much worse.
And this is the crucial starting point. Lila, a young adult who has lived this, just puts it perfectly. The fear your child is feeling, it's 100% real. The distress is real, even if the obsessive thought behind it seems totally irrational to you. Their emotional reality, that's our ground zero. That's where we have to start.
So how does this disorder really operate? Well, it's not just stuck inside the child's mind. It literally takes over the entire home. You see, OCD is never a solo act. It has a way of pulling the whole family onto its stage.
A major study from the NIH actually uses this exact phrase, a pervasive burden. And it really is like a quiet invasion. It starts small, and then suddenly, before you even realize it, the disorder is the one dictating the rhythm of your family's life. It's creating stress and anxiety and just frustration for absolutely everyone. And this burden, it's incredibly concrete. Just look at this. That same NIH study found that nearly half of mothers, 48%, and a third of fathers said their child's OCD impaired their ability to do their jobs every single day. This is not a small disruption, right? It's a huge daily impact on a family's stability.
And where does it show up? Well, pretty much everywhere. The study pinpointed the routines that get hit the hardest. Just think about it for a second. The morning rush to get out the door, bedtime rituals, trying to get to a doctor's appointment on time, or even what should be simple joys, like going out to eat or a quick trip to the store. All of these everyday things become total minefields, completely governed by the rules of OCD.
Okay, so this leads us to one of the most painful and frankly counterintuitive parts of this whole journey. What we call the compassion trap. This is that tough moment where a parent's best intentions can accidentally become the very fuel for the fire they're trying to put out.
The clinical term for this is family accommodation. And what it means is, well, it's doing all those things that seem so helpful on the surface. Answering the same question for the 10th time, buying that special soap for a washing ritual, or carefully avoiding places that might trigger their fears. It all comes from a place of love, of course it does.
But here is the paradox. It's a real gut punch. Every single time a family member accommodates a compulsion, it sends a clear message to the child's brain. And that message is, this fear is valid. This ritual is necessary to keep you safe. So that accommodation, that act of love, it actually reinforces and strengthens the OCD cycle, making the disorder more and more powerful over time.
So the most important thing to learn here is how to tell the difference between what is truly helpful and what is actually harmful. Helpful support is all about validating your child's feelings. It's saying, I see that you're scared. Harmful accommodation, on the other hand, is validating the content of the fear, saying, don't worry, I promise the door is definitely locked. It's such a subtle shift, but it is a life-changing one.
Okay, so if accommodation makes it worse, what actually makes it better? Let's talk about the gold standard treatment, the one that completely flips the script on OCD. It's called exposure and response prevention, or ERP for short, and this is the evidence-based frontline therapy for OCD. It's not just about talking about fears, it's about actively retraining the brain's response to fear.
So how does it even work? Well, a therapist helps the child create what's called a fear hierarchy. You basically identify all the fears, you rank them from least scary to most scary on a scale, and then you systematically start facing them, always starting with the easiest ones. So for a child with contamination fears, maybe a really low-level exposure is just touching a doorknob and then not washing their hands afterward.
Now, a lot of people think the whole point of this is to make the anxiety go away. Just do the scary thing until it's not scary anymore. But that's actually a really common misconception. The real goal of ERP isn't to eliminate anxiety. It's to build something called distress tolerance. It's about teaching the brain the absolutely vital skill of feeling anxious or uncertain or just uncomfortable and knowing that you can survive it. It's about learning that discomfort does not equal danger.
And this equation, it just illustrates the logic so brilliantly. Think of a threat like this. It's the amount of perceived risk divided by your skill to handle it. Now, you can't always change the risk, right? But ERP is all about building the skill of distress tolerance. And when you increase that skill,
The perceived threat goes way, way down.
So what does this all mean for you, the parent? Well, it means your role has to change. It's a huge shift. You go from being a protector who tries to remove all distress to becoming a coach who helps your child build the skills to face it head-on.
Here's a brilliant script from Lila again. Just notice how this works. You gently refuse to engage with the compulsion. I'm not going to answer that. But then you immediately validate the emotion. But I understand you're stressed, and that's okay. You see? You're coaching, not accommodating.
And here's another powerful example from a young woman named Emily. Her mom validates the feeling, I know this is hard, while gently reminding her of that core lesson of ERP. Discomfort is not the same thing as danger. This is what coaching sounds like in the heat of the moment.
So here it is. This is your playbook. You become a cheerleader, celebrating every small win. You validate their feelings, but not their fears. You trust the process, you learn as much as you can, and you project confidence that they absolutely can do hard things.
And why go through all this? Why do all this incredibly hard work? Because on the other side of it is freedom. It's about getting your child and your entire family their life back from this disorder.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to this from Jessie, a young adult who's been through it all.
It takes a lot of hard work, but it absolutely gets better.
This isn't just some theory. It's the real, lived experience of so many people who have reclaimed their lives.
Because the payoff of ERP, it's so much more than just a reduction in symptoms. It's about building the foundation for a resilient life, independence, self-confidence, and that deep-down knowledge that you can face down fear. And these are skills that benefit not just your child, but your entire family for a lifetime.
So we'll end with this thought. This journey is hard. There's no way around that. The most loving path is often the most difficult one to walk. But it allows you to stop being characters in OCD's story and instead become the authors of your own. Thanks so much for being with us.